We stand in a moment of cultural change, a time that demands action to increase diversity in the creative industries. In film, television, gaming, music, online media, and all the entertainment we consume, the creative industries must rebuild the career pipeline to increase representation at all levels of production, but they can't do it alone. Our public schools are full of students ready to fill these high-wage, high-need jobs, but they need to be made aware that these careers even exist, and then receive industry-aligned training to prepare them for the modern workplace. Our goal at the AME Institute is to strengthen this pipeline, from public education to the creative industries, ensuring that all students, and particularly those furthest from opportunity, get the access to high-wage, creative industry jobs of today and tomorrow. We do that by empowering educators with the tools and training they need to prepare the next generation of our creative workforce. At our flagship AME Institutes, through our monthly virtual learning series, through curated programming for schools and districts, and resources that connect educators and students to the creative industry, AME Institute brings together all of the key stakeholders from the creative industries, K-12, community colleges, and nonprofit organizations in order to build a more diverse and equitable creative workforce of tomorrow. Let's make it happen today.
Hello. Happy Saturday, everyone. My name is Ashley Adams. I'm with the AME Institute. And we are thrilled to be here today at the Bric Foundation Global Talent and Education Day. And we're excited because we're actually presenting 4 sessions. So we're really glad you're here, and we hope you'll also attend some of our other sessions. If you'd like to learn more about the AME Institute, you can go to our website. It's in the chat. But we are an organization that is here to support you, the arts, media, and entertainment teacher, with industry relevant and industry aligned professional learning. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my friend and colleague, Greg Hodgson, founder of EdgeGain. And he's going to be presenting today on real-time Adobe animation for beginners. We also would like to invite you to tell us where you are coming from today in the chat. Please use the chat function. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us where you're from and what you teach. But we're glad you're here, and take it away, Greg.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Welcome, everybody. I'm just about, 45 minutes northwest of the centre of London. I'm in the UK, do most of my work in the US. But let me share my screen with you, and then we hopefully can get going. So I thought, just number one, you can hear me and see me. If you could I just need people to chat to me, just so I know that I'm not all on my own talking to a screen. That would be good. Are you there? You are there. Yeah, Jess is saying we're good. And I'm going to be talking to you today about real-time animation. The video we just saw is a nice segue into this, because we're obviously looking at how animation can help us tell stories, and we're focusing sort of on a lot of digital stories. Hi, Molly from Los Angeles. Lovely to see you here. And Jackie, I appreciate that. So one of the first things I'll say is that we're going to try and cover quite a lot in 45 minutes, and I will try and stick to time. I'll leave 5 minutes at the end for a bit of Q&A if anybody has anything to ask. But actually, feel free to ask throughout. Any questions, anything that doesn't kind of make sense, any weird words that I use. I'll try and say cheerio at the end, because I know that people like that. That always seems to go down well. But anything that kind of seems odd, or you just want to ask a question about, please do. So the video that we saw at the beginning featured some stop frame animation. We're going to be looking at real-time animation, and I'm going to be working with 2 tools today. And the kind of idea here is that I'm going to model a couple of projects that if they're not exactly what you do in your specific field of work within education, within creative learning, within digital technology, within pathways, with careers, etc., I'm hoping that you can make some links. And I would love to hear from people throughout how you might go about using them, because I can show you all this stuff. If you don't go and use it, what's the point? But I think you'll like some of this. Some of it's super easy. In terms of animation, I'm going to do a really 0 to 10. If you could just tell me, are you a 0, which is mean you've never touched animation ever in your life, you're not really even sure what animation is, or 10, you do it all day, every day, and it's the only thing that is in your life, or are you somewhere in between in terms of your knowledge of animation in general, or do you just like animation? I don't know. So if you could give me a 0 to 10, that would be really helpful for me to gauge exactly whereabouts you are. I'm going to be starting right at the beginning, by the way. So I will just wait and see if we've got anyone. I'll ask Ashley, because she might be able to tell me. Ashley, 0 to 10 in terms of, you're a 5. Perfect. I was kind of assuming. We got some 0s, some 5s and 6s, some 2s, to a 7. Oh, Sydney, you should be here doing this along with BG. And okay, there's a bunch of people who probably do a bunch of animation. So let's quickly go through this. I work for EdgeGame. My name's Greg Hodgson, and I can see, yeah, lots of folks who know a bit about animation here. So hopefully that will make a bit of sense. We are Adobe's professional development partner. More importantly, we're AME Institute partner. So we're really pleased to be working with AME. We do a lot of Adobe training. And I think we taught 10,000 teachers last year. Most of them, the significant 95%, were in the US in high school. So that's kind of what we do. So real-time animation is something specific. We're going to be looking at Adobe Express. Molly is a -3. You're the perfect student, Molly. Thank you for that. Everything I now will teach you will be a revelation, hopefully. And then we're going to kind of look at how Adobe Express can then kind of lead us into Character Animator. So I'm going to try and give you a bit of a differentiated pathway, but probably we'll get to the end point where it's kind of like now the doors could open and you could do some seriously incredible stuff. But before we do that, let's travel back in time 500 years and think about Paolo Uccello, one of the early Renaissance artists, looking really to try and figure out and solve problems like all creative people, creative practitioners, trying to figure out how to take a 2D image, a painting, and try and create this idea of depth, this idea of reality. I don't think he was particularly worried about depth. I think he's really trying to think about how do we actually deal with this idea of perspective. In this case, it's sort of single point perspective. But Paolo Uccello was one of those original people trying to figure out and capturing a moment in time. San Romano, I think, is somewhere outside of Tuscany or near Tuscany, Umbria, central Italy somewhere. And this kind of painting's always quite interesting because if you look in the foreground at the very front, you've got this at the very middle. I don't know if I can, I don't know if you'll see my cursor, but there's a helmet. There's like a soldier's helmet that's kind of crashed to the floor. And if you just go to the left of the white horse, you'll also see a soldier who's kind of on this line of perspective. And obviously, Paolo Uccello's done a great painting, but he's kind of got quite a lot of it wrong. And I always used to teach. I was an art teacher for 20 years. I used to teach with this painting to say, you know, we get things wrong, but this is people trying to capture a notion, a story that's based upon some narrative, which is where we get with animation. And then if we think about the fact that this is like tiny people in the background, big people in the foreground, loads of pomegranates which feature, and a guy in the middle who's obviously the boss guy with this fabulous hat. And then we kind of bring that into other animations and comic books and other, you know, and scroll forward like 400 or 500 years and think about foreshortening and how big the fist is, the left-hand fist, compared to the right-hand fist, and how we use these techniques in order to try and change reality. So real-time animation for me is kind of like, you know, we then made things move. We started to draw things and make things move. We had movie cameras for the last 100 years or so. Well, now we're into a different kind of age, and we've got what we call real-time animation. And this is where, as you know, for those of you like Molly, I'll use you, Molly, if you don't mind, as a starting point. Animation takes a long, long time. I've blurred my background. There's a 16mm film hanging on the wall behind me. It was shot frame by frame. It was my degree piece many years ago at university. It was a stop frame animation. It took the best part of a year, and I think it's 2.5 minutes long. Well, things have changed significantly since then. But what I'm going to show you is how we don't actually have to get into the frame by frame elements, which, by the way, is what animation, if you're animators, that's what you'll probably love about animation, is that you become like the uber god of everything. You decide the characters, the backgrounds, the scenarios, the outcomes, the discussions, the drama, etc. Here's a quick fire way of creating animated things. So we're going to jump into, I'll quickly whip through the slides. By the way, I'll share the slides as well if people want these. So we're going to start with Adobe Express, which is free to all students and teachers in K-12 across the US, across the globe actually. I'll show you a little bit of that. That won't take very long. And then I'm going to jump into Character Animator. We're going to do some real-time animation using the video control. Now, things sometimes get a bit wonky when you've got two lots of video, because we've got video within Character Animator and video within Vimeo, my streaming tool, this streaming tool. We've got a starter and we've got a pro version. We'll try and look at both of those. I'll try and show you a little bit of the back end, but look at some of these characters and how we can use these characters to kind of bring certain narratives to life, and play a little bit with those. And the big deal that I'm going to share with you is we've got, I'm going to do a safe, it is kind of crazy, Molly, but you could do this. This is like 2 buttons. This is 2 clicks away. And then we've got this really interesting piece of work. I thought, what would people on a Saturday want more than a health and safety video? But I think you'll like it, and it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, and I'll get back to that. So there you go. That's what we're going to try and do. It's quite a few videos. So let's jump across. I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to start sharing Adobe Express, and we go straight into it. Any questions before we go? In fact, now I can't. I'm going to drag. Bear with me. I'm going to drag and stop sharing that. And get rid of them there. Just a few little things I've got to do here. Sorry, I'm going to just put Vimeo over here so I can see the chat, because otherwise, and if there are any questions, I can see the chat now. There we go. So I might be looking at 2 screens, but forgive me. Let's share again. Let's share Express. And here we go. Can you provide recommendations? Oh, I could only see the first line. I was going to say, what, for nice restaurants? Concerning integration of accurately moving medical and physiological. Whoa. That's a big order. Do you know what? If I'll put I meant to put my email address. I will be able to give you. I can connect you with somebody who works at Stanford University doing a piece about uses Character Animator for videos to do, I think, with cancer treatment. So Dealer will be able to definitely help you with that. BG. I can definitely connect you with somebody who could do that, definitely. We're looking at Express, we are. Okay, so this is Adobe Express. Again, just a yes or no answer. How many people have come across Adobe Express before? Yes or no? Y or N? Your choice. Have you used Adobe Express? Have you heard of it? Have you seen it? Have you ever had a go with it? People say, is it Canva? No, it's not Canva. It's Adobe Express. It's better than Canva. Okay, lots of people haven't. Okay, so a couple of people have. Bric Volunteer has. Excellent. Oh, right, a whole bunch of people. There's a whole mix. I'll give you a very quick overview of it. It's, as I said, it's free to K-12. It's on a browser. I'm using Chrome, but I think it works pretty much on any browser. And it's kind of like a Swiss Army pocket knife of digital creative tools. You can do all kinds of cool things with it. The great thing I find is that when we go into schools that have it for all students, it just means you've got it on a browser. And I think one of the things for guys here, for folks who are probably power users or might use Animate, because let's just quickly remember, Adobe do lots of animation tools. Even Photoshop has an animation timeline within it. We won't be able to have time to look at that today, but things like Animate, which was Flash, industry standard stuff for interactivity, but even After Effects. So loads of different options within the Adobe Creative Cloud. This one's free. This is a free version. There's lots of different things working off templates, lots of graphics, web pages, all kinds of things that you can do. When you land on this, and you can get a free version of this as well yourselves, but when you land on this, you'll see that it's, there's this plus button. There's a place where you can search for things. You can create storyboards. You can do all kinds of stuff in it. One of the things that I would say to you that is really cool is that it's linked, and the school accounts are linked to Adobe Stock. So you can get Adobe Stock video, you can get Adobe Stock photos, you can get Adobe Stock audio. Even if you want to use them for other projects, this is a portal. And for those of you who are doing sort of animation pieces or video or any kind of motion work, that's a great resource to have. However, we're going to concentrate on a thing called Animate from Audio. Now, one of the great things I love in Express is that if I click on View All with the quick actions, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of these like little applets, I would call them, little apps that just do one thing, like resize a video, convert it to MP4, create a GIF. So you could just take a video file, drop it into here, etc. But a load of PDF things, trimming videos. So, you know, if you just on the go, these are really kind of cool things. If you're on an iPad, if you're a Chromebook, one of the things we know in schools, certainly in the UK, certainly in the US, lots of students working on Chromebooks. Well, if you've got access to a browser, you've got access to Adobe Express. So let's go straight in and look at Animate from Audio, because this is the best part of the whole program. When you access it, it might not look exactly like this, because I think they kind of just put the categories. But let me just show you what happens here. Very simple interface. We have a character who I'm moving around. This is, I don't know, I can't remember his name. It's Dog. I'm going to call him Dog. You've got a character, you've got a background, and you've got a size. You've only got 3 options, all right? And then you create the content. So let's go and just look at them all, because you'll see that there's a lot of characters. Every time, I use this a lot, I teach a lot with this, I train a lot with this. Every time I come back to this, there are lots more characters. So I was looking, oh, there's even like a Scooby-Doo. Well, no, it's not, it's a bear. Looked like Scooby-Doo, I thought, there you go. They couldn't do that, that wouldn't work. But you know, loads and loads of different characters, robots, space people, pencils. There's a really cool avocado somewhere. Anyway, you choose the character, and I was going to choose the dog, which is, what's his name? Here he is, Riley. So I've chosen Riley, but you could choose any of these. They are going to be animated. So they're going to use my audio to animate. So there's a preset algorithm working where my audio will be, and the inflection points within my audio will change the way the animation works. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty cool. Let's go for Riley. Where's Riley? I just like Riley. I can make him smaller or bigger. Let's make him nice and big so it's easy to see. I could choose lots of different backgrounds. If I wanted to take this, by the way, and add it into a video editor, into Premiere or whatever video tool you use, I'd probably shoot it with a transparent background. And then when I export it, I can just start layering up and doing, you know, getting characters to have conversations, even conversations with me, etc. There's lots of kind of backgrounds I could use really quickly, or just colors. In this case, I am actually going to upload an image, because that's what a lot of people ask me. Can you upload images? And I've got one on the desktop in the Bric file, which is, hey, guess what it is? It is the Battle of San Romano, which we just looked at. So the use case I'm going to give you here, in fact, this isn't the first. Oh no, this is the first one. This is the first one I want to share with you, because Jesse with the AME Institute is going to actually share the video, because we don't get audio playback. So I'm going to show you how to do this, and then I'm going to ask in a minute. I'll ask Jesse to just share the video so you can have a look and see what the outcome looks like. So again, I chose a character. I chose a background. I'm not too worried about the size. The size of this is fine. But if you're doing this for social media, or you're doing this for specifics, we could do something like this. So we'll go Instagram-y at this stage. And then 2 things to look at here on the left-hand side. One is the enhanced audio. Now I'm in a really quiet, nicely soundproof studio office. But if you're in a classroom, they're super noisy. So this is a bit of AI. This is a bit of really good technology that we've tested, and if it's all noisy all around, this will listen to your voice and it'll filter out everything else around you. So it's kind of a cool feature that we can use. I won't bother using that at the moment. I'm going to keep this really, really short, just because I don't want you sitting watching this work, because what's happening here is that we're actually connected to a server somewhere else. It's called the cloud, and that all the working will be done on somebody else's computer. So I'm going to keep it super short. But what I'll show you in the video that again, it's 10 seconds or 30 seconds or something, is this is me, and the use case here is me talking about an artifact. And in this case, it's me talking about a 15th century painting from the Italian Renaissance that is trying to think about technological kind of changes. So there's a bit of meta stuff going on in here, which is the Battle of San Romano and the fact that, you know, he's trying to create perspective, hasn't quite got there. So let me record it. I'll show you what that looks like, and then we'll see how that works. So I've got my script, obviously, which actually I don't have, but I know this painting pretty well. Hi, I'm going to tell you all about the Battle of San Romano. I'm going to tell you a little bit about single point perspective, and I'm going to keep it super short. Now, I'm keeping it super short because, as I've said, I want you to see it. So you can see on the right-hand side, this is now processing. If you're doing this with young people and you're doing this with 30 people in a class and the school Wi-Fi is a little bit crazy, you just have to kind of roll with that. And you can now see that it's importing the background, it's going to import the audio, etc., etc. Now, I'm going to jump across and I'm going to just explain what will happen. And then you're going to have to trust me, and then you'll be able to go away later today or tomorrow and have a go at this yourself. But that's it. I've essentially made the video. After this, I have two options. I can take the video in to do some editing within Express, some simple editing. I can trim it. I can add some other labels. I can change things around a bit. I can cut things together, other clips. I'm not going to do that. There you go, computing head movements. It's going to do some head movements for me, and now it's exporting the MP4 file. Or you can download it as an MP4, and it's done. So I'm just going to sort of cancel it, and I'm going to stop sharing and say, Jesse, do you mind sharing the first one, which is called the Battle of San Romano? Just going to quickly talk about this painting by Paolo Uccello. Oh, did that? Are we still there? Can you still? Just going to quickly talk about this painting by Paolo Uccello. Clip. So you saw how short it was, but again, it's the character. The character talks. He moves. You don't have huge control over it, but it works. So before we move on, because we got that's shorter than I thought. Any questions or queries about Adobe Express audio, Animate from Audio? Because I'm going to jump straight into the next one up now. Yeah, full body movements. I mean, depending on the character and depending on the words, and it's not looking at me, the next one is going to actually have some facial recognition technology in there. Let's jump into that one. That's super cool too. So let's get rid of Adobe Animate, and we're going to go straight over here. Now, if you have Creative Cloud or access to Creative Cloud, that's Photoshop and Premiere and all those fabulous tools. You also have Character Animator, and it's kind of one of those ones that people don't know about, and they're kind of like, wow, this is pretty cool. That was Sydney. That was Adobe Express. That was Adobe. Here, let me give you, in fact, maybe Ashley, could you just, I think it's new.adobe.express.com. I'll send it to you at the end if you like. I'm sort of already running a bit low on time, so I'm going to jump over and show you this. Boom. Okay, and I've just got to remember what the next one is. We're just going to do the robot. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. You can. So this is Character Animator. Oh, Rana, I'm curious if we can customize the animation later through After Effects. You can't break the animation down. You can only edit it. Thanks, Ashley. Brilliant. Rana, that's a great question. But of course, if you were to do the thing I said about recording the real-time animation with the transparent background, then you've got like you've got an alpha channel. You've essentially got a character with no background, so you can then drop that in, and then you're free. And you can do great way to build After Effects projects really quickly. Here we go. We are in Character Animator. When you join Character Animator, it looks like this. There's all these characters. The first character, I'm just going to, a bit like last time, I've got two options, by the way. And I think when you start, when you first go to Character Animator, you've got this starter option and the pro option. Both I'm going to cover in the next little while. So let's use the starter option. Looks similar, but it's a reduced amount of options. And I can switch to pro. Loads of good videos as well. And by the way, this guy, Dave Werner, seems to be an absolute magician. I don't know if anybody knows Dave Werner. He's like the character animator god, and he's brilliant. If you ever get a chance to have a tutorial with him or see him at anything, or just follow him online, he's amazing. He's a genius. So here we are. I can import projects, I can do all sorts of things, but really what I want to do is just go straight in and start creating something. And I was going to choose the robot, which I can't now see, so I'm just going to choose something else. I'm going to choose this dog, Basil. We'll stick with the dogs at the moment. Oh no, there's the robot. There he is. And I just want to show you how easy this is. This is like super easy. Just bring in the robot. Here's the robot. And if I show you over here, you can see my face through this camera. So now it's listening to the audio and it's looking at my face. It's not moving from side to side. It's moving on one plane. Okay? So that's kind of important, because once people get into this, they're like, hey, I'm going to turn over there. And he's not turning. You can do some head turns. That's a little bit more advanced. I've only got a few controls. The first one to mention is calibrate. And what calibrate will do is put some green lines on my face. And this is recognizing that there's a face. There's just about some eyebrows left. There's a mouth that moves. And if you do animation, you'll know all about the different mouth sounds and mouth shapes. And there's some eyes that move as well. And I do a lot of blinking, although I'm not sure if this character blinks. Anyway, very simple. I've got two options. I can record and I can import. I'm just going to record. I'm a robot and I do robot things, and I can talk about stuff, and I could have changed the background, but I forgot, so I didn't. So I'm going to finish the recording. What I have here now are some options. So I can do some points. So I could bring this in if I wanted to do some points at the beginning. I can change those. I've only got one layer. I could do some other things that might come in. Let's just choose that one, drag that in. So these are different kind of emotions and different movements that are kind of preset, etc. And if I play this by hitting the play button, and I do robot things, which I don't think you'll be able to hear, but you can start to see that if I just play it, and I do robot things, and I can talk about stuff, it starts to follow my movements, my audio. Jesse, if I stop sharing that, I'm going to ask you just to show, I think it's number 2. So hi, I'm a robot. I might be introducing the next robotics lesson, or I might be introducing a literature lesson or a theatre lesson or some other kind of lesson. Because I'm a robot, I'm one click. I've selected me as the robot. I'm moving my head quite a bit. And I'm talking. When I'm ready to finish, I'm going to hit that finish button, and then I can add a few little elements. It's cut off slightly, but you get the idea. That's how it's exported. So once I've done the recording, I can just export that. Let's just go one stage further, and then we'll do the final piece, and then I'll take some questions. Let's go for this. I don't know what this is, Sasquatch. It's not Sasquatch in the video that we're going to show, but a character. Because what I'd quite like to do now is just show you how I've calibrated. I could change the background here. So we've got a similar to what we had before. So let's go, I don't know what we go for. I can also add my own background. There you go. That's easy to see. So we'll go for that one. But this time I'm going to import some speech. I've got MP3 of a student talking about I can't remember his course. I can't even remember which course it is. So let me just show you what it looks like and it's very, very short. So what I would do is jump in here. I would go to my desktop and my Bric folder, and I'm just looking for my bioengineering or a short version. Oh, it's not an MP3, it's a WAV, so a WAV file. So that's something that I've recorded on my phone, I think, or we've recorded in the sound booth. And I'm just adding that audio in. So it doesn't have to be me mimicking this. It might just be the audio. And then when I play that, I can then...
Every breakthrough begins with a single...
again, you won't hear this, but it's now playing the audio that I've imported. I did look for some speeches that you would recognize. I thought that I'm a, I can't remember the John F. Kennedy, I'm a Berliner speech in the 50s or 60s, in the 60s, and I thought that would be good. I wasn't thinking of it being a Sasquatch, but any kind of speeches, this would be a really interesting way of playing around with some of those ideas. So I'm going to stop sharing again. Or am I?
Hey, Greg, I just wanted to tell you, that you weren't sharing. We didn't see your screen.
I'm going to do it again then. Sorry about that. Do tell me. Yeah, do tell me. Sorry. Here we go. We had a Sasquatch, but let's go back and do that again. Sorry about that, folks. I got too carried away, too excited. So I came back in. This is the starter option. I picked up the Sasquatch. There he is. I chose a different background. I kind of like the idea of him being, I don't know, is that on the train or something? I don't know where he is, but we'll put him there. And instead of recording my own voice this time, I'm going to import a file. And that file was just a WAV file, something that we recorded earlier. And it brings that file in. And now it's there. So we can just
Every breakthrough begins with a single step. My journey in bioengineering started here at university.
So again, not sure if you can hear that, but if I stop sharing, I think we've got one lined up. So I think that might be video 3. So let me.
Every breakthrough begins with a single step. My journey in bioengineering started here at university. I'm Calvin, a bioengineering student, driven by one goal to revolutionise healthcare through technology.
And that little, like the laser gun and the wave, they're just little triggers that you add in afterwards to fit with the kind of the flow. So we can hear but can't see it. Fine. Sorry, Elaine. My mistake. So they're the starter options that you have in Character Animator. So that's, again, using my voice, using this strange real-time animated piece. These characters, by the way, are built out in Photoshop and Illustrator. I genuinely haven't got time to show you the complexity of that, but they're not that difficult. If you've got a group of students who are quite technical and have a little bit of knowledge and understanding of layer structures in Photoshop or Illustrator, you can take a character. They're based on layer structures. You can take a character and you can basically deconstruct it and then reconstruct your own version. And that might be as simple as something like going into, this is the original character, which is Chloe over here. And she's got like a character animator badge. Very easy just to kind of change the color of her hair or her t-shirt, or take the character animator badge off and put your own logo on it or whatever. So actually to build your own characters isn't super easy, but it's not, if you follow kind of a certain pattern, it's also something that, certain students who are working at a higher level could certainly do really, really easily. And I'm trying to show you this broad kind of spectrum of opportunities that you've got here. I will pause because I know I'm showing lots and lots. I've got one more thing to show you, which is I actually got 2 things to show you, but I'm just going to jump in now and show you what the non-starter option looks like. So if I click on that right-hand option where it says starter and shift across to pro, I still don't want you to think that this is too difficult to do, because actually the starter option only came in kind of last year and the pro option has been there for a while. So the first thing to tell you, in fact, let me pause just because I'm going super quick. Any queries or questions or observations? Or just a pause? A transatlantic pause. Hadia, get involved with Bric. Take our summit survey. Oh, there you go. That's that. Become an apprentice. Donate to Bric. You need to do some videos, Hadia, using Character Animator. That'd be good with those messages. Here we go. Let's go into the final part of this, where we're going to look just a little bit at the Pro option. And just to point out on the Character Animator screen, we've got lots of sort of options where we can use basics. No questions. No, fine. This is a fantastic tutorial, by the way. This is a really funny pre-built video where this character is in a theatre and she's kind of talking to different people who are auditioning for a show, but it's also at the same time showing you how to build like a multi-character piece. It's pretty good. So let's go one step further. We could also see more. There's more characters. If I click here, you could find more characters. And when I went to find more, in fact, it's opened another screen, so I won't show you that. I'll keep sharing this one. But it basically took me to the Character Animator Adobe website, and there's like literally, I would say 100, 200 different characters, types of characters, all kinds of things. I found one called Roxanne, which reminded me of an old friend of mine, Roxana. Might have even been based upon Roxana. And so I wanted to show you what happens if you want to import a puppet. But the same thing as before, you could just choose any of these puppets, just grab a puppet, and that'll get you started. But this time, I'm going to start a new project, hopefully. And hopefully it won't crash on me. If it does, I will, here we go, character, let's just stick it in downloads at the moment. So let's just call this, I'm just going to call this test or Trest, there we go. So I've opened up my new project, slightly different interface. I'm actually going to make me a bit bigger so you can kind of see this weird green thing that's happening on my face through the camera. If I calibrate, it'll do the same thing that it did before. And what I want to do here is bring in my puppet that I've imported. So I've even got a Greg puppet. I've got like a younger, thinner, better looking version of myself that I can use. But I've also got this Roxanne puppet, which I like. I've got a Jekyll and Hyde puppet that we built and a Queen Elizabeth I puppet. I'm just going to go with Roxanne and show you how we might do this. So this brings the puppet into the project file. Before I go any further, I'm just going to drag her into the timeline. And I'm giving you a really quick, fast version of this now. So there she is. I can drag her hands, and you'll see that in the video. The hands do things. I've also got over here triggers, and I just want to show you this because this is pre-built with triggers, and that means the keyboard becomes part of the interactive space. So I can do like pointing and thumbs up, and I don't know what that hand thing is, but various other things that I can do from the keyboard. Then I don't know how to undo them. There we go. But let's jump in and bring in a background. I'm going to import a picture. Now, this picture that I was going to bring in is, have I got the picture? Or maybe I didn't bring the picture in. I have somehow, oh, there it is. It's a PNG. So let's bring that PNG. It's a health and safety thing. I was thinking about, what if we were doing, it's kind of the wrong one. But anyway, you'll get the idea. So if that picture sits on top of Roxanne, it goes over the top. If it sits underneath, as we know with the layers, it's not the right size. So if I wanted to start to change things, and I'm not going to show much about this, but I could come down to this scale option on the right, and I could kind of drag it up, and I could start working on it. And the whole point of showing you this was thinking, all right, well, I can now take a little bit of control about the position. So we could move, need to click on the right layer. So if I wanted her not to be right in the middle, that didn't work. If I wanted her to be position, let's see, shift her to the side. And again, all I do here, now I could also put a video in the background, so I could have her in front of a video. I'm just going to keep with this. And the use case here that I was thinking of is, in all those classrooms that I've worked in over the last 3,000 years, doing some of these more fundamental pieces of work where you have to learn certain things isn't always really, really interesting. It could be that what we really want to do is do something about health and safety in the workspace. And this would be a kind of fun way of getting students to kind of retain and engage. It could be something far more creative and brilliant, but I thought, let's use that, because that's always for me was like, oh yeah, go into those science lessons or those engineering lessons where you've all got to do the health and safety, even in the art room, whatever, you've got to do the health and safety thing, etc. So what I would want to do then is get my script. I created a little script about like rigging and engineering on a film set. I thought that might be useful for this community. And then I clicked the record. And I started recording, and I did lots of blinking. I did lots of head movement. I pointed at things. I pressed those keys that did love hearts. I like those. I've lost those. They're pretty cool, etc., etc. And then when I finished the recording, you can now see the complexity of the structure here. And what I'm going to do is let you figure out how you might use that. But I'm going to ask Jesse, we've got, I think, 2 videos. I think this is the Roxanne health and safety video, if we could just share that. And this is an export of the one I made before showing you this. So we all know how interesting and important it is to use safety gear. And I'm pressing buttons just because I'm explaining how to make this at the same time as telling you about safety gear. But if you're on set, if you're in a studio, you need to be thinking about a few things. So let's just quickly run through what the key things are while I keep pressing buttons and blinking and moving my head lots as well. I could even point to things by just dragging this around. So safety harness gear, the guy over there holding the boom, he needs to be, we need to ensure that all the light riggers and sound engineers, etc., are equipped with a proper safety harness gear. We need to do a regular inspection. We need to make sure that the equipment is all good, conduct regular safety inspections on all rigging equipment, including cables, pulleys, trusses, hoists, identify any wear or tear. We need to think about weight limits and load distribution, secure the work environment. It's obvious, eh? And of course, emergency procedures. Provide comprehensive training for everybody on set. That's him and her and him and all the other folks that are around, and probably some people over there too. Let's move that down. And then, of course, the most important thing is that I show you, if I press all the keys, these are triggers, cool things happen. So let's see what happens here. This is like a pointy finger, so I could do even more pointing at that, or these cool trainers that I got. Sneakers, I think you might call them. What else might we have? We've got a thumbs up. So if that's what we've got the notion there that we can take this video and we can do things with it. Last thing in terms of what you might be able to achieve, because I'm running over a little bit now. I think we've got a couple of minutes, Ashley, just to finish off. Is that all right? I'll keep going until I'm told not. Is that okay?
I think we were supposed to end right about now, so maybe 5 more minutes?
5 minutes is perfect. We've got one more video, and then I just wanted to give folks a chance to kind of ask some questions. So lots to think about here. The last part I think I want to sort of share with you is the idea of, here's a bunch of videos that I've made perhaps as a teacher or somebody kind of wanting to talk about industry or whatever. But what about actually getting students to use these? And we did a fantastic project a few years ago now, just pre-COVID, with the Royal Shakespeare Company. And we were looking at how we can use digital tools to get students to engage with Shakespeare. In the UK, in England, the curriculum demands that every student accesses Shakespeare at some point, which can be a challenge. So we did quite a lot of work with them, and we came up with all kinds of different projects. The one that was kind of fun was trying to get students to use some of these puppets to talk about different characters within Shakespeare. And then we created this very simple little Q&A. And again, it doesn't have to be about Shakespeare, it could be anything. But I just wanted to finish with this. I've got a couple of slides I want to share right at the end, but finish with this just in terms of, if I take these character animations, and again, let's think about the time we're saving in terms of animation, not always what this is about, but you can do this very quickly. Taking those videos and then cutting them with student videos and getting students to start thinking about sequencing and thinking about the different ways of making video and using these tools, and thinking about, that whole thing of lots of different tools for lots of different options, and being able to experiment and explore, and encouraging students to fail and, to experiment until they fail, and then figure it out, and that problem solving part that we know and love. Don't get me wrong, I don't want students to fail. I want them to work to the point where they really push the boundaries. And of course, if you do that enough, there is going to be a failure forwards approach to that. The last video then just shows another character that we've grabbed, a picture that we put in the background, but then intercut with a young student just answering questions. So it's like a Q&A. So Jesse, if we could show the last one, which I think is called Teacher-Student Q&A, something like that.
Hi everybody, welcome back to my English class. It's Mr. Gibson, and I'm going to be asking you to create some video today. And it's about the Merchant of Venice, which we've been studying for a little while. And I'm going to give you 3 questions, and I would like you to use your video on your iPad to record answers to my questions. And then, so here we go. What is the key theme of the Merchant of Venice?
There are lots of different themes, but the main one is greed.
Question 2. What is significant about the casket scene?
The casket scene is about hazarding and choice. Bassanio has to choose the right casket in order to marry Portia.
And the final question is, which character is the Merchant of Venice?
Most people think the Merchant of Venice is Shylock, but it's actually Antonio.
See you soon.
There you go. So you get the idea anyway, how we might start. And it could be that we could cut more characters in and we could use a better timeline. And if you're using After Effects, do all kinds of things. So the very last thing from me is just to say, I am Greg at edgegainltd.com. I think there's a QR code there that will take you there. I've popped that in my email into the chat. If you want to get in touch with me, email me, talk to Ashley. She'll obviously forward things to you. I've tried to condense probably, we probably do a half a day or a whole day on this to actually get your hands on, etc., and make this work. But there you go. That's it. And I think that's everything from me. So thanks, folks. And I appreciate you listening. I will be here for one more minute if you've got any questions. But Ashley, thank you very much. Jesse, thank you for helping us out. And have a great day.